Welcome, everyone, to another edition of our inaugural season of Masonic Light Talk, where I'm your host, past Master Rodney Funderburk of Bivouac Lodge number 503. And we are hailing from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and are a part of the 30th District, where our Worshipful Master is Dewan A. Muhammad, and our District Deputy is Terry Andrews. And of course, our fearless leader of the North Carolina Jurisdiction Incorporated is the most worshipful Grand Master Daniel D.T. Thompson. And of course, the true purpose of Masonic Light Talk is to give the craft a chance to see the men who are behind the various titles inside of the Grand Lodge, as well as the lodges, and to allow them to see everyone's just regular people, just like you, myself, and anyone else out there. And they live life, they experience the good, they experience the bad, and sometimes the ugly. And that's just life. And also, we want to make it clear, when people ask us a lot about Masons and what Masons are all about, basically is one thing I tell them: we are here to make good men better. And that's it, plain and simple. And today's special guest is the most worshipful, right worshipful Senior Grand Warden, Brother Victor Cooper of the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of North Carolina Jurisdictions Incorporated. He is a 20-year decorated veteran of the United States Air Force. He is now retired, and he is a full-time government contractor, and he works at the Fort Bragg Army Base. So, Brother Senior Grand Warden Victor Cooper, welcome, 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 and thank you for being on the podcast today. How are we doing, man?
We're doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate this opportunity to address everyone.
Good deal. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on here. Before we even get started, with you being a decorated veteran, I want to first of all say thank you for your service. I want to say thank you for the time that you've given to this country. And I know it has affected probably some of your family time in your lifetime, but I do want to say thank you on behalf of all the listeners out there, and they knowing the service that you've given us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, sir.
It was truly an honor to serve, sir.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. How are you and the family surviving this COVID-19 pandemic right now?
We're doing well. We're doing well. No one in my immediate family has really been affected by COVID. I thought I had a bout of it last November. The doctors couldn't tell me what it was. I thought it was just a severe cold, but after a month, I finally cleared up. And so far, God has blessed us. We've been well.
That's good. Good to hear that. Good to hear that. Well, we're going to get right into it. Let us know what lodge you're hailing from, Brother Cooper.
I'm hailing from Savannah Lodge number 47, right here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, District 16.
Okay, good deal. Now, a lot of brothers may not know who you are. They may not know a lot about you. I know you and I haven't had an opportunity to really talk and hang out a little bit. It would have been wonderful. I mean, so wonderful for us to be able to hang out and talk a little bit. Had the Grand Lodge session been going on, which under normal circumstances, that Grand Lodge session would have been going on with last week, correct?
Correct, you are.
Yes.
Correct, you are.
So, with us missing that, has that affected you? How has that affected you? Or how do you think about it when you knowing that, man, we usually get with the brothers every year about this time? Because I haven't missed the Grand Lodge session since I've come into the Masonic Order. So it's been a little different feel when that time went by. Any feelings for you on that?
Yeah, it's definitely a sad occasion when we can't get together. This pandemic has caused so many problems amid the jurisdiction. But the governor, as well as the Grand Master, just want to ensure that everyone is safe. So I tell our brothers, stay put. We're going to get back together sooner or later. We're going to have a Grand Lodge session, and we can fellowship, talk about old times, and rejoice once this pandemic is over.
Yes, sir. I'm with you on that. And as I said, this time has made me even reflect back to last Grand Lodge, which I had a wonderful time. And like I said, I know we haven't had an opportunity to talk about it, but the last Grand Lodge, how was your experience there? How did you enjoy it?
It was a typical Grand Lodge for me. Sessions.
You had a lot of work.
I had a lot of work to do. As usual, the hard part is getting all the sisters into the meeting room. That was quite a task for me. It's probably the hardest task I had last year, but I've been doing Grand Lodge sessions since 1996.
Wow.
And I'm pretty accustomed to what goes on and how to maneuver through it.
Well, good deal.
One part is to get your rest at night while you can, because the days are busy.
Yes, they are, and they really go by fast. But I've enjoyed all the past Grand Lodge sessions. I look forward to getting back to it, and as I know you do as well. I just wanted to touch on that real briefly. That's all. But let's get in a little more into Brother Victor Cooper. Tell us a little bit about you. I know you're a husband, you're a father. Tell us a little bit about you and your family.
I'm gonna give you a brief synopsis. I was born in a little town called Waynesboro, Georgia. It's about 20 miles southwest of Augusta, Georgia. My mother and I moved to Philadelphia when I was 5 years old. And I graduated from Ben Franklin High School, Special Deputy Newbie, Ben Franklin High School in Philadelphia. In 1985, I graduated and I joined the military, United States Air Force in 1985, September 11th. And I spent 20 glorious years in the Air Force. It's an experience that I would never trade in for anything in the world. During that time period, I've had five children during the time I was in the military, and God has blessed me with a newborn here January 31st of this past year. So I have an 8-month-old. Her name is Amani, and hopefully she's the last of the Mohicans. To wait and see.
I know that's right.
I truly enjoy being a father. I think that's one of the greatest blessings God can bestow upon any person, any man, is that being a father. And when you have a little one to look at after, the boys, you can let go after a certain age, but the girls, they're always going to be there. They're always going to have your heart.
Is that right?
Yes, sir, indeed.
Good deal. Good. Well, that's good to know. Good to know. Now,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Please finish.
I finally retired in 2005 from the military, September 31st. And as I said, that's an experience what I would never trade in for anything in the world. I truly enjoyed my time, got to meet a lot of people, travel places, and I truly will always remember those.
We definitely appreciate you and all the service that you've given to us in the military. What were some of the job duties that you had to do while you were in the Air Force?
I was plans and scheduling. What we did, we took the yearly flying hour program that came towards in hours and broke it down in terms of flights or sorties, as we called them in the military. Those were training hours for the pilots. I was responsible for that. And I was also responsible to make sure that all the aircraft that went up in the air were safe. I had to make sure all the maintenance was done on them before they left. I had to make sure all the modifications were done on them. Make sure they had enough time remaining to their next inspection so they can get through their trip.
Gotcha.
Responsible to review all the documentation and file the correct paperwork when we need to send aircraft from point A to point B. Probably the greatest job in the military to have. I challenge anybody to find a better job than what I had. I love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. We really appreciate that. Now, I'm going to head back over to the Masonic area. Okay. Tell us a little bit about your Masonic journey. What is it that attracted you to Masonry? What caught your attention? What got you there? And then how did that journey progress for you?
Well, what really caught my attention Masonically was when I was in Philadelphia growing up. I saw the Prince Hall Masons on the street at all times trying to feed the homeless in the schools and in the parades. And at that time, I had no idea who they was. So finally, I asked a guy one day, he said, those are Prince Hall Masons. I said, Mason, what are they about? They're about serving the community. I said, one day, I'm going to be a Mason. Came in the military, years went by. I was in Korea, had opportunity. Like, nah. I was in Germany, had another opportunity. Nah, I think I'll wait. I went back to Texas, stayed there a year. But when I actually got here to North Carolina, it afforded me the opportunity to actually venture and ask questions and seek out that true Masonic light. And fortunately, I met some outstanding people that were able to help me guide me.
Good deal. And that's one of the things that people just don't understand. There are really some wonderful, awesome brothers inside the Masonic order, man. You know, my father was one, and that's kind of what kind of led me that way as well, because I watched his daily life, his daily activity, and of course, never talked about it.
No.
But of course, as Masons, you try and let your actions speak for you. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yes, sir. Good deal. Now, out of all the houses in Masonry, do you have a favorite?
I think the Royal Select Masters was probably my favorite. The Blue House will always be my love because being elected worship master of the lodge that you remember, it's nothing like that. But as far as the ritualistic work, the Royal Select has my heart.
Good deal. Good deal. Any positions that were the most meaningful to you and why?
Well, I would definitely say all the positions meant something to me. Anytime a person that appoints you has a confidence in you to give you a position and let you perform your duties is one thing. But when you're elected by a group of your peers, that solidifies that, hey, you're outstanding, you know what you're doing, we put our trust in you. And I don't think there's any greater accomplishment or gratitude someone can pay to you in that.
That's right. You're exactly right about that. Now, Senior Grand Warden, as you stated before, you have a lot of duties as a Senior Grand Warden. And, you know, a lot of people may look at it and say, oh man, they're wearing the gold and all the pretty flashy diamonds and everything that's around the collars. And they really may not know what goes on with that job title. And for those of you out there who don't know what goes with it, but are just seeing the glitter and the glamour and all that good stuff, can you kind of share with us, without going into or providing any secrets, can you share with us the true duties and the sacrifices that you as a Senior Grand Warden have to endure while holding this position?
Well, first of all, you have to be willing to serve. If you come into these positions for the title and not the responsibility, then you've done yourself and the organization a great detriment. You have to be willing to work, and you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice, because sometimes you may want to do one thing, but the requirements of the job mandate that you do something else. And sometimes you're going to call on you to put the good of the order over your personal desires. I say that to a lot of brothers. If you don't want the responsibility, be careful what you ask for. Secondly, you got to be willing to use your 24-inch gauge. You can't do it all by yourself, and you can't get it all done in one day. You have to use that 24-inch gauge, and you have to be a communicator. If you sit there and try to just keep everything in your area and think you're going to get it done, keep it in a bubble, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And last, I said, you have to be a team player. I can go down a whole lot of programs I'm a part of, but I think those are the traits that will make anybody a great Grand Lodge officer. The willingness to accept responsibility, to be upfront, to do their part, to fulfill their part of the puzzle, and be able to be held accountable. If I have a job to do and I don't get it done, my leaders hold me accountable, and I'm sure the membership will also hold me accountable. So you can't come in with thin skin, and you got to support the Grand Lodge programs. You may not agree what they are, but as a whole, we got to support them. That's the only way we're ever going to succeed in this organization, is together.
Yes, sir. You're exactly right. And that leads me to something else, something that you just mentioned in your answer. You know, you said you have to put the greater of the order before yourself, even if you may not agree with it. And that leads me into the next question, which is, there is a motto that you live by. Would you share that motto with us that you live by, and how exactly you got it? Where did it derive from?
The motto is, humility is better learned before taught. When I was coming through Masonry back in 1995, 96, we had a biblical instructor in our lodge by the name of Johnny Banks, honorary past master. He did all the biblical instructions for our lodge in our district. And he always said, when he was teaching the Bible, you must humble yourself before you do anything, so you can receive all the greatness that's to come to you. And me and my brother was sitting there laughing. I said, yeah, Brother Banks, you're right, because sometimes humility is better when you learn it, if somebody have to teach it to you. That's so, yeah, because often when it's taught to you, you learn it in a hard or harsh format or lesson to go along with it. But if you take your time to be kind and have your mind open to everything and everyone, you're exhibiting the trait before it has to be taught to you. And I've had some hard lessons taught to me. Really. I remember one, I don't want to say any names, but when I first came into Masonry, I didn't think anyone could touch me. I thought I knew everything. I was talking to the candidates one day, and one of the past masters of another lodge asked me a question, and I gave him the stereotypical answer that I had in my ritual. So he waited for me outside. He said, young brother, come up and let me talk to you. I said, oh, what's this about? What's this about to be? When I talked to him, he sat down and explained the true essence of Masonry to me. You can repeat whatever you want what's in that ritual, but if you don't understand it and know what it means, then you're not teaching anybody, you're just being a parrot. So that was a experience where humility was taught to me, and I should have learned it beforehand.
Gotcha. Well, I like that motto. That is a great motto. It's a motto that we all can live by, actually. And it will probably make the world a better place, I'm sure.
Indeed. It's all about giving respect. You know, you don't have to agree with everything that I say or I think. And you may even be the smartest person in the room, but you have to respect others' opinions, others' knowledge, and even things that others have to say.
That's right. That's right. You're exactly right about that. And I tell you what, Grant, if I'm ever the smartest person in the room, y'all better run.
No comment.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, listen, man, I know that COVID-19 is affecting us all. It's affecting,
Right.
you know, how we're able to get together. It's affecting how we're able to have meetings. They're having to continue to go virtually. We're not
Right.
able to do it, you know, in person, which
Mhm.
is, you know, something that we're not used to as Masons. We believe in gathering, getting together in person and fellowshipping
Exactly.
one brother to another.
Mhm.
With everything that's going on, what do you think COVID-19 is going to do to how we progress our program? And the reason that I say that is because it seems as if we're starting to open up a little bit in North
Right.
Carolina,
Mhm.
but there are also beginning to be many, many more cases, which makes it fearful to me going into the wintertime where the influenza season gets,
Yeah.
you know, much more prevalent, as well as our actions. Because, you know,
Right.
I don't think influenza is something that just goes up, or even COVID-19 goes up because it's wintertime.
Right.
Change our habits. You know,
Mhm.
whenever it gets cold, we tend to congregate around each other more. We tend to get
Right.
closer to people because it's a heat thing. It's about staying warm. Whereas in the summertime, you're kind of automatically away from people and not up on
Right.
people because it's hot.
Mhm.
So what do you see happening with these cases going up? And what do you see happening possibly with our Masonic order and what we have planned and hopefully coming up is being able to get back together? What do you see
Well, in retrospect, I learned that if you had corona once, you're not immune to it. You can
happening?
get it again because it's just like the flu, as you said.
Hmm.
I think corona is going to be here for a while. It's a fact of life that we're going to have to deal with. But we as Masons and men have to be smart. We have to take care of ourselves and our family.
Hmm.
And I'm sure the Grand Master or any brother out there is not going to say, hey, let's go to a meeting face to face
Right.
with this threat still here. That's why he's put out procedures for brothers to meet via Zoom or Duo.
Mhm.
I think a lot of our older brothers don't know how to work Zoom and Duo. So we're going to have a learning problem there. And I think a lot of brothers actually need the face-to-face interaction, us in the physical same location. So I
Mhm.
think, and I hope this doesn't happen, we're going to lose some members because people are going to get comfortable not going to meetings. And that's a bad thing. Understand the only reason we're not going to meetings right now is for health reasons. This is
Right.
very serious. You can lose your life about going to a meeting. But understand, once this thing comes to a level that it can be controlled, we need to get back out there. We need to get back in our lodges. We need to get back in our communities, but we need to do it safely and smartly. Always wear your mask, carry gloves with you, hand sanitizers. Hey, bump shoulders and arms if you have to stop shaking hands. You know, small things make a big difference. We can't lose sight of our Masonic values just because COVID has hit. But we have to stay the course, and hopefully on the other side, we're going to be a stronger organization for it. That's my hope. How it's really going to fall out and shake out, I don't have an accurate answer for you. But I encourage all brothers to stay faithful to their lodges, to their families, and just take your time and do things smartly.
Definitely. Well, thank you for those words of wisdom, Senior Grand Warden Victor Cooper. We definitely appreciate you. But before we get out of here, I got just a couple of more questions.
Okay.
You know, at this point, you know, normally we have a voting session and things of that nature at Grand Lodge.
Right.
But as things move on, you know, you've been Senior Warden, Grand Warden, and you know the duties, you know all the stress that it puts on you. Are you planning on running? If you can tell us now, if you can tell us, are you planning on running for Senior Grand Warden again? Or are you possibly looking at a higher position if all should go well at the next Grand Lodge communication?
Well, right now, in my opinion, I think we have a dynamic team in place with a great leader who
Right.
has great vision, a lot of ideas. He can articulate those ideas to us so we can get our jobs accomplished. Doesn't mind delegating those things to us.
Right.
So I think as long as our team, the nucleus of our team remains in place, this Grand Lodge is going to be successful. And when the time comes, I'll be ready to move if
Good
the
deal.
brothers will have me. But
Good
right
deal.
now, I'm just working as hard as I can in the duties that I have to perform to make sure I fulfill my part of the puzzle for this Grand Lodge.
Good deal. That's the main thing. You're
Yes,
handling your part.
Exactly.
Like you said, when it comes to a puzzle, we all have a piece that needs to
All
be
have a
played.
piece.
And as the good book says, anything that you do, you must do it to the best of your ability, you know,
Exactly.
and then the Lord will continue to bless you as you continue to move and do it. Yes, sir. Grant, is there anything else that you would like to say to the crowd before we close out this podcast?
I would encourage everyone in North Carolina, not just the brothers, everyone to stay safe and to definitely go out and vote. And everyone says Black Lives Matter. All lives matter because we cannot do this alone as a people. We need everybody in the human race to join in this fight. So I encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, be positive in the community, and I'm here, whatever I can do for the membership, sir.
All right, listening family, you heard it from our senior Grand Warden, Brother Victor Cooper. Continue to be in the community, continue to support those programs that help the community. Go out and vote. Do your part. You heard it from Senior Grand Warden, Brother Victor Cooper. And as we get ready and close out, I'd like to say to the Prince Hall family, thank you for tuning in and listening to this edition of Masonic Light Talk, featuring none other than our Senior Grand Warden, Brother Victor Cooper. And for those of you who are not a part of the Masonic family, remember, it's not hard to be a part of this family. In order to be one, just ask one. That's it. I'm your host, Past Master Rodney Funderburk of Bivouac Lodge number 503. I can't wait to see all of you on the next edition of Masonic Light Talk. Until then, my brothers and sisters, travel light.
Stay safe.